Hit it.
Hello and good evening for this Thursday, June 22nd, 2023. We have watched the second episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 2 titled Ad Astra Per Aspera. Brush up on your Latin if you haven't already. But we're just getting started here on Live Long and Podcast as we're continuing our review series where we'll go through each episode, this one today. And we're going to break it all down for you. Spoilers ahoy if you don't want to know. We're going to be talking about this episode quite a bit. We got a great panel here to break this down. I'm Dave Mader. I'll be leading the proceedings here. We have Chris, the World Mind Murphy, with us.
Howdy. And on this episode of Star Trek Law and Order.
Yes. A procedural courtroom drama. A little bit in this episode. We have, of course, Davan Skelhorn coming with us tonight. How are you doing today? All the way from the East Coast.
Sorry, you guys had to witness that outburst.
Yeah, I know. Hey, it's okay. I won't tell you.
Oh, actually, I got to tell you something. Did you clip that intro together yourself, Dave?
Yes.
Okay. Well, when I can never remember her name. Who's the captain in this? The prosecuting captain in this episode.
Patel.
Okay, yeah, where she's like reaching into the empty bed, and then the very next clip is Kirk like. That's a stroke of genius.
That was intentional. That was intentional. Yes,
that was genius. That's a stroke of genius.
Yeah, he was like, "This seems like a fun ship. I think I like it here." Yeah. Also joining us for the first time here on the podcast, we have Jen L. Rossman coming in to us. How are you doing tonight, Jen?
Good. Thank you for having me be here.
Thank you for joining us. Chris Murphy, he found you in the Twitter world, and we appreciate you coming on and sharing your thoughts on this episode.
Thank you.
Thank you. And also, last but not least, we have, of course, Adam Woodward. How are you doing tonight, Adam?
Hit it, man. This was a great episode.
Yes.
Great episode.
Yeah, I'm with you. Okay, everybody, we're going to talk about this episode, break it down. We'll get into the screenshots, but let's just, Adam just said he liked the episode. Go to you next, Jen. Jen, how did you feel about this episode in relation to the series, and how you've been enjoying Strange New World so far?
I love Star Trek Law and Order episodes. I was especially excited that this one was so transgender rights themed. It started off with Una's leg brace that had the trans flag on it, and very excited to talk about all the symbolism and everything from that point of view.
Right on. Okay, go to you next, Murphy.
I was excited to see the episode because of I have trouble saying her name. I believe it's like Yateed. The lady who played the
lawyer?
Attorney. Yeah, the lawyer. She was in American God, which was a pretty good show. So I was sort of excited to see her portrayal in this episode. And
Yateed Badaki.
Yeah, Badaki. That's right.
A Nigerian actress.
Yeah, she's apparently was a big fan of Star Trek, and it was like a lifelong dream for her to be on this show. So it was really cool to see her performance in it. And I was like, oh man, I can see why this is the second episode, because it was a bit slower paced. But by the end of the episode, they just hit me with the Star Trek feels, and just that kind of spirit of what Star Trek is about. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Not a lot of action. This is definitely a talking episode, Davan. Just morning in our chat, there was some comparisons.
Like those.
Yeah, I do too. I do too. There was some comparisons to Measure of a Man, another courtroom drama type Star Trek episode.
Yeah, see, you guys had to go with your comparisons and stuff before I even watched the episode. Oh my god! So I couldn't get that out of my head the whole time. I'm just like comparing it to Measure of a Man, and I'm just like,
I wasn't just so I'm clear here. I wasn't comparing. I said it was as good as. I wasn't.
You said it was better than Jody.
Jody,
I said it was better than.
Classic Jody.
No, it was Adam's fault.
You said it was better. Okay.
No, but listen,
I'm still going to blame Jody, actually.
But hold on a second. You understand, Measure of the Man is like one of my top 5 Star Trek episodes of all time.
Yeah, because it's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, here's what I'll say about that comparison. Okay, so this one is probably like more cohesive. Well, at least there's more highs. There's a lot of good stuff in this one, but I don't think it has quite the iconic peak that there it sits in Measure of a Man.
Yeah, only because you've had 20 or 30 years behind you. Yeah,
just the nostalgia lenses for sure.
Yeah.
Right. I think that
you
once you make
through?
Measure of a Man, it's hard to like replicate that precisely in any kind of, unless you just retell that story, which would be kind of boring anyway. So this is a different kind of individual rights hearing story. I think I thought it was interesting. I think there's some moments here that I think really will stick with the series. Let's walk through it all, guys, because this was the big cliffhanger. We were
One
left
question.
with.
One
Yeah.
question. Am I missing something here before we get started? Isn't Lon also an augment, or she's not?
No.
Okay, I thought she had some like super strength or something. My bad.
She's
I remember
she's
that.
related
She's
to.
just related to Cobb.
Yeah, I know, but yeah. I just thought she was still had some powers, but I guess not.
Well, what is her relation exactly? She's just told she is related.
Ancestor.
He's her ancestor?
No, she's
Yes.
his ancestor.
No, she can't be his ancestor.
Of course she can. They were frozen. Like, remember, they were frozen on the Botany Bay for like a century
Exactly.
before Kirk.
So she would be his
Exactly.
descendant, not ancestor.
She'd
Yeah.
be his descendant, not his ancestor.
Oh, yeah, I'm mixing up words.
She's
Don't mind
she's
me.
born after him. Right? So yeah.
And again, I have one more before we get going to is Chris said it right off the bat. The Star Trek feel, when I say the last couple weeks of, sometimes you feel like they're not in the spirit of Star Trek in their writing and whatnot. Not Strange New Worlds, but other things we watched.
Yeah.
And this was right back on track. Like it was.
Oh
just,
yeah.
Yeah, it felt.
Oh
good.
yeah. No, this was a pure Star Trek through and through. But yeah, like I guess back to that whole thing with Leon. I always get her pronunciation. Leon. Because she's Khan's descendant.
I never figured that out. That's hilarious.
Yeah, she's the descendant of an augment, so she would have some augment DNA, but she's not genetically augmented herself. But I don't know how that works, but not enough to disqualify her from Starfleet by any means, and she doesn't have.
Well,
just
if
funny,
he was augmented after he was born, then his DNA might not be augmented, just his body.
Correct.
Like he might not pass on the DNA.
It depends, yeah, because we've seen that the augments, like the Khan and some of the ones we saw in Star Trek Enterprise, like they have super strength, super intelligence, all these like other abilities that Lon.
In the case of Julian Bashir, charm.
And charm, and he's able to do math really fast in his head, and that seems to be
Lon's
most
just super serious.
Yes, a crouching tiger knows
We
no.
just need to find out if Ron is good at darts or not. Like Julian.
Yeah. All right, let's get into the episode, guys. Just some screenshots just to keep us sort of on track. How does that look? Actually, I'll go back to this model just so we can see us all and see the image. Okay, so we get this great city here to start. By the way, and so this is the planet that Una grew up on, because this is a flashback scene to start off. We see the young Una. Who's crying, looking at the window. We see her parents are sort of in the background crying, and we see that she's got this injury. We'll find out that this is a broken arm that she had gotten at school during that day. And her mom's like,
and
it's
they had the
okay.
transgender flag on it.
Yeah, if you look at
On the little
strap
strap
of
was
the
the
shield
trans
there.
flag.
Oh yeah, there's a trans flag in that strap. Yeah,
Yeah.
there is. I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah.
Good pointing that out, Jen. Yeah, and so I know it hurts, baby. The mom says we see it glowing a little bit. I think this is just also to help us remember that this is Una. I think, or to help us reinforce that who it is in this flashback. And her parents are like, we can't go to the doctor, we can't take her to the hospital. And then we flash forward to the present day. With Una,
We've seen her glow orange before.
We have seen her glow orange before. Yes, we know that that's her thing. And so Una in the slammer back in San Francisco, waiting her court martial. And we then come to a scene here where it's Batel, who is the lead prosecutor here against Una, who's sitting there.
Why?
Okay, yeah, this
He's
is
a Starfleet captain.
This is my nitpick.
You can be a captain in the military and be a lawyer.
Yes, I agree with that.
She's not. She's the captain of a ship.
Yes, and
Why
Davan
is
is
she being
also
put
Davin is also
on like
correct.
this trial? Like,
That's
where's
the
her ship?
problem. I agree. I don't like that either. Either you're in the judge.
Either you're a JAG
Yeah.
or you're
Yeah.
a starship captain.
Yeah.
You would
Yeah.
never see them be both.
See, it's the weak point of this episode. They only did it for the relationship drama between
Yes,
her.
that's the only
and
reason they
Pike.
did it. Otherwise, it
So-
really should be a new character.
Which is why I think Measure of the Man maybe still be a better episode. But we'll get back to that.
well, in that episode, Riker is forced to be the prosecutor against his will, right? And
That they at least write it into the story because there are no other JAG officers or around. They're in the
Present,
middle of
yeah.
nowhere. Yeah.
right. And so she gives this offer like, hey, you can get dishonorably discharged, no prison time. And she's like, no, thank you. And then her lawyer, who's another JAG officer, he's like, this is a great
Why wasn't
deal.
it him?
Yeah,
He's
well,
a JAG officer.
he is an actual JAG officer, I believe.
Yeah, why wasn't it just like? Yeah, see, this doesn't make any sense. This
I
is
agree,
unraveling in
like-
front of us, right in front of our eyes.
Or don't make Patel a starship captain. Like, have her be a JAG officer from the start, But I don't think they knew what they
Exactly.
wanted to do with her exactly, so that's why we're here.
She's a captain on the weekends. It's her hobby.
Yeah, she's a starship captain on the weekends. She's a reserve Starfleet captain, but her full-time job is JAG.
Yeah.
It's just a really old ship. It doesn't get out often.
It only goes out
Nothing but courtroom.
for courtroom dramas. That's the only time they take her out. I like how Una was like, maybe you shouldn't tell me to take this deal in front of the prosecuting attorney. And then she's like, you should listen to your counsel. She's like, how can he be my counsel? How can he be my lawyer when he works for you? Which I guess it kind of makes sense, but also doesn't, because that's how court martials work. Everybody's supposed to be in the military, but they make an exception in this episode where a civilian comes in and represents Una for this, because I think you have the right to choose your counsel. I don't know. I don't know a ton about military, but this is a court martial. It's not a civilian trial. So, and anyway, so
well, they do mention in this episode, which I find interesting, is she has to agree to her prosecutor. She's like, you agree?
I was like,
prosecute you.
do you consent to having this person be the prosecutor? And she's like, yes. Like, what if she said no? Like, what would happen then?
You
Like,
find somebody else, I guess.
Yeah.
But like, what a
Well,
way
that's what
to
you should have done
delay
anyway.
your trial forever. Like,
yeah. What?
It was
until you
not
you're
good.
just
consent?
stuck in holding cell, and that's no fun.
It was also interesting that the choice of in this role where she's had her hair down, on the ships. Now she's got her hair up and very studious and whatnot, versus the captain role that she had.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think they're still fleshing this character out too a little bit. But yeah, and then
This
we
stuff's
come up.
all cool though. This Illyrian world with the atmosphere that they.
Yeah, that's the next scene here,
modify
because
themselves to be able
we're
to.
still in the teaser section of the episode, and the scene where Pike gives us a captain's log. He's on this planet where it's not suitable for human life. He has to wear this breather mask, but everyone else is kind of walking around him here.
Doesn't seem to be working. Like he seems to be like about to die. Like this
Yes.
mask doesn't seem to be working very well at all. It's kind of hilarious.
Maybe you should just wear like a
That's-
full-blown environmental suit, Pike.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, Jody's coming in here.
fashionable. He needed to wear an outfit.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm so small now.
Yeah. You're fashionably late.
I'm
Just
always
now.
fashionably late.
Yeah. Well, we're right on your boyfriend here, Jody.
I have a huge man crush on him.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie.
Don't
You
waste
know.
it.
If I
widow's
was ever
peak,
to
isn't it?
turn, he would be the one.
It's the hair.
It's the hair. It's
It's the everything.
it's the everything. Anyway, he's not leaving until he can talk to this lawyer who's what's her character's name? Yatide, or is that the actor's name?
It's the actor's name.
I
Nira.
believe it's Nira. I
Nira,
believe
right?
that's- I
Something
think
like
so.
that, yeah.
Nira Katul. So we'll call her. Let's just call her Nira. Okay. So he's here to see Nira. He's running out of oxygen in his mask, and he might die waiting in this lobby of this law office, I guess, on this Illyrian colony. And it's kind of a game of chicken. But she goes and gets Nira, who takes her to the office, and they're able to like put proper atmosphere, or at least human,
Which is cool.
suitable. Yeah.
I thought that she had all these atmosphere settings for different species. Like, it's pretty neat.
And and the Illyrians can modify their genetics so they can breathe this hostile atmosphere, whereas humans and other species wouldn't be able to. So that was kind of neat. This office I thought was interesting, where like her Nira's office chair has no wheels, it has no casters underneath it; it just floats there.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, but the chair that Pike sits in does have a base, and it sits on the ground. So I
That
don't
way
know.
she can just
using
raise
the
her
power
up
of her
higher.
mind.
She can always be the highest one.
She can always be higher, but the
Yeah.
seat on the other side of the desk is always on the ground. And we meet Nira, dressed up here. What did you guys think of her as a character in this episode?
I liked her character. It was her lack of accent threw me off for a minute because it was very like clean spoken as opposed to the previous show in American Gods where she puts on a very heavy accent. So that threw me for a minute. But I liked her cold, calculated assuredness of being like, I'm not dealing with this case that I already know everything about.
Right, and we know she has this history with Una, like that she has a personal connection, and she says Una is not my friend, and neither are you, Pike. And
also
by the end
her cold, calculated hatred for Starfleet.
right, she doesn't like the
And
Federation.
I guess.
Yeah, and you can definitely see that, but we kind of get the background of her hostility with Una, that I guess they were lovers in the past. That's
the hard.
Did we get that?
I
Like,
know.
there's the handhold at the end.
I thought they were kids when they.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
they were really young when they last saw each other, but
Yeah, they were best. She said she calls her best friend in her story, and how her best friend's brother, had like issues with bullying or whatever it was.
But when she's describing her childhood and the family stayed on that planet while others left, she was one of the ones that stayed, and that's where I thought. So to me, she was living with her parents still when they.
yeah. Jen, any insight here on this character of what they were trying, what kind of background they were trying to establish here between Nira and Una, and what they're exactly?
Yeah. I mean, I thought they were definitely together based on the way at the end, like the lingering hand holding.
Yes.
It does seem like they were like separate when they were much younger now that you say it. So I really don't know what's going on with that. I don't think they said what age they were when Una's family moved.
No, they didn't. It's all left pretty ambiguous. Like, I don't know.
What I gathered from the handhold was it was them, patching things up.
Yeah, that's all I got.
It was just we're friends again, sort of thing.
I thought it was a lingering handhold. So, but that's just my take. Anyway, it wasn't established. It wasn't said outright. So it's kind of it's at the most it's subtle.
The
implication. Anyway, Pike manages to convince Nira to take this case, despite all of the objections. Gives her the case file, says this would be worth it, and then we come back here to Una, who's in her cell, looking at her Starfleet badge here.
Command Division badge.
Command Division.
Pretty slick.
In her cell, she's got a nice view of Golden Gate Bridge, at least from here. But
I'm always jail cells in the future. Like this is windows.
This one had a physical door instead of like a force field, which they normally have, too. Which I that was interesting. Just these three like vertical windows. Anyway, so Nira's here and Una, and they're kind of reunited after a certain amount of years. It's unclear how many years have gone by here between the reunion. But anyway, so she says
at least 25 because she's been in Starfleet for 25.
At least 25, right?
So it's probably more like 30, 35 years, really.
Yeah. But she says, I'm going to take your case and we're going to do it my way. And Una agrees to that. Back on the Enterprise, we have Batel, who shows up to talk to Pike while he's making pasta.
Making pasta mama.
Yeah, I think he was
making pasta.
He was definitely making pasta mama. Definitely was.
I made pasta mama the other day, by the way.
Right.
That was kind of the apron.
Yeah. Batel was mad that Una rejected the plea deal that apparently Batel had to work really hard to get, just so she wouldn't have to get jail time. And Pike's not too thrilled with her. She's like, I know you think I betrayed you, but I didn't. How do you think Pike should feel about Patel and their conflict here, where he was, he was like, she should be on the bridge doing her job, not in a holding cell. You didn't have to follow the orders that to arrest her, and he's got like this thing against her, and she's
even
like
sending the captain to arrest her is kind of weird. Like, her part in all of this is very strange.
It is. I agree. Like, who does she
But
actually?
also, are they dating? Like, he's acting like they're dating, but in the middle of last season, he was after that girl from the Kill the Child planet. I can't remember the name of that.
Yeah. They're not in an exclusive relationship. They seem to be friends with benefits, or maybe slightly more than that.
He's acting like she's like betrayed him by doing this, when it's like you're not even really dating.
Right.
He should be asking her why she's a lawyer all of a sudden. Like, why are you here? Is what he should be asking.
She's like, our job as Starfleet captains is to follow the law, and I love Pike's response here.
And what if the law is wrong?
What if the law?
Oh, I get wrong.
I am the law. So
should have yelled. That would have been pretty freaking funny.
Yeah, so Patel leaves. This conversation ends tense, and he kind of isn't feeling too good about it. Back in San Francisco, we get this scene here where it's the main judge, this admiral, who's going to be like the main judge for this case, along with Neera and Una, who are waiting for Patel to show up. And Patel shows up with this British Vulcan admiral. Has any more evil combination ever been derived here, guys? You
always make the evil ones.
So this again, like after like Enterprise and after everything we've seen, like Vulcans, except for T'Pol and Spock, are pretty much bad.
Oh, exactly.
They're all angry.
Except for like the main characters, like Tuvok and Spock, and a couple of
Len. Was that what's her name?
Yeah, she's from Babylon 5.
No, the new Vulcan.
Dave, this is
T'Pol. Go ahead, Adam. What are you asking?
Here's my whole. I didn't really understand why this guy was so into getting rid of her. Like it didn't. This is what the whole. I thought they were.
He's presented. He's like the top guy for the JAG Corps. He's like the JAG admiral, I think. And so he's kind of looking over Patel's shoulder here the whole episode. And eventually, when he finally spoke later in the episode, I'm like, oh, he speaks, and he's British. But he's kind of like Patel, who's supposed to be
the British is evil.
Yeah, and
I can say that I'm allowed.
And Vulcan,
Let's put it this way: if they're Badmiral and they're Vulcan, they're 2 times Badmiral.
And if they're British,
that's like 4 times bad. That's like 4 times bad.
Right. Yeah. So all of those things combined, but he's very quiet in this episode. Anyway, but they're
servant of the Queen. He's just doing what the Queen, king now.
Because
Una, servant of the British Empire.
Right. Because Una rejected this deal and doesn't want to take the plea deal. Now they're throwing the book at her. They're charging her with sedition, and they're trying to put her away for 20 years in a penal colony.
How many years?
20. Oh,
20
years?
I know.
Here we go.
Good old trip.
Good old trip on the way onto this show. They should have had him show up in this episode just to go 20 years. And then,
they should have had him
cast him as the JAG officer instead of having Pillay do it.
That would have been awesome.
As
make him like 150. No, he's dead. So he can't be him.
Yeah, he's dead.
Well, but he could have
Spoiler
been
alert.
some new character. Basically, she played the role of what 3 other people would have done.
True. So this episode, written by Dana Horgan and directed by Valerie Weiss or Weiss.
Weiss. That's so Weiss.
That's a Weiss. So then, there's this next scene here with Una and Neera where they're kind of coming up with their strategy. They mentioned that Admiral Robert April is going to be called to the witness stand, and this is probably not a good thing for them because, they wouldn't call a friendly witness unless there was a strategy from the prosecution side. So some interesting things here. Apparently, when Neera is not with her client, she's not staying on Earth. She's actually staying on the Enterprise, which is in orbit around the planet. And she's staying in Una's quarters. They don't even have guest quarters for her. They're like, we're just going to borrow your old friend's apartment here. Seeing the picture here of the young Una.
Airbnb this.
Yeah, it's an Airbnb. She's in a detention center. She can't
What
use
kind
it
of
anyways.
deposit you got to put down for that?
I don't know. But she's working here, and she meets La'an, who La'an is like wants to help. She's feeling.
I was so proud of Lon. She didn't say Gorn the entire episode.
Well,
It's the
Gorn.
Oh, there she is.
yeah.
She
Calvin,
does
don't
say
worry.
the Gorn in this episode,
Yeah,
actually.
she does. Yeah.
Does she? Oh, I
Yep.
must have missed
Yeah.
it.
She says Una saved her from the Gorn.
Oh, that's right. She did say that.
There you go.
Damn it.
Gorn!
I thought I got an episode without her saying Gorn. All right.
It's the Gorn.
You won't.
The Gorn.
She'll say it every episode.
This is a drinking game now. She says Gorn.
Every time she says Gorn, you got to take
Yeah.
like 5 shots. That's gonna be the new rule. Anyway, so
Hammered.
Every time Pike says pasta mama, yeah, eat pasta mama.
Basta Mama.
So
So
I had pasta mama. It was good.
Pike was having a drink in the mess hall, and something I don't think we've seen him do yet is just be out here with the crew, sitting at a table by himself. And then Patel,
He has the best quarters ever.
he has the
Yeah,
amazing.
he really does.
Yeah.
He's got a his quarters is like a cottage. It's incredible.
But Patel, who again doesn't
Does he
serve
have
on
a
this,
fish?
Patel doesn't
fish
serve on this,
tank?
right? And she's not in command of this ship. So, but
Dave's
she's on
trying to talk, Davin. We're not allowed to interrupt.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh no, we were just talking over.
I'm
you
trying to
guys.
lead the show. Am I?
Okay. You're really getting in the way of our talking.
Go ahead.
That's fine. No, it's fine.
Jody! Jody!
God. Oh,
Jody?
God.
I missed you. Jody.
We're
Especially
serious production here.
Themselves.
There we go.
Jody repellent. Anyway,
Somebody's phone's going off.
can I go now?
I can hear it.
Absolutely, Dave.
Okay. Because
I don't know about Davin, but I'm good with it.
All right. Anyway, so Pike meeting with Patel here. This is kind of a sequel to their last conversation. I guess she followed him here. I'm just trying to understand the context of why she's even on the ship. But she comes here basically to talk to Pike. And she's like, I know
She's
you want to
here
help
for
your
this talk.
This is talk. You can't get involved in this case. You can't come and give
She
a
wants to get some pasta in her mama.
yeah. You can't come in here and give a big
Jody.
speech.
Jody.
Yeah.
I'll let myself out.
Yeah. She says no inspiring speeches today.
No inspiring speeches today.
And you can't get involved because once they nail you that you knew about her status, then you're gonna be court-martialed yourself. So he kind of reluctantly agrees.
Doesn't Starfleet have some version of being able to plead the fifth? You would think.
Yeah, I was thinking that too at some point, when they were like cross-examining her, and I was like, okay, so this is where you plead the fifth, and she didn't.
I don't know if you can. I don't think you can in a court-martial.
I don't think in a court martial because it doesn't. It's not a constitutional thing. It's
Right.
It's a service issue.
You don't have the
not
same. You don't have the same protections when you're in a court-martial versus like a civilian trial, right?
Well, he could just literally shut up and say nothing. Like they can't force him to talk, but
right.
it doesn't do him any good by not. I guess.
If an admiral or if the admiral or the judge orders you to answer the question, you're going to have to answer the question. Right?
Well, you could refuse, but then you'll have other issues.
Right.
Well, take your ship away if you don't answer. I mean, come on.
All right.
No
So-
more weekend privileges.
After that conversation, there's this whole thing here with Ortega and Benga where they're kind of making fun
Maybe
of the
best
Vulcans.
scene.
Yeah.
Maybe the
Mr.
best scene.
Spock, I do hope you understand why I have to throw your friend in jail simply for being who she is. Of course, Mr. Pasok. It is only logical. Shall we play a round of Calto this weekend? Yes, that would be enjoyable.
Great moment here. I love this Ortega's thing. This was so funny.
Best scene she's ever done in this show so far. That was
But it's
amazing.
even better that if like the Vulcans can hear everything she's saying for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're
100%.
not that far away either. But
I don't think she cares.
no, probably not.
Well, and that's why Spock walks up to her after and says, "I'm sorry you had to witness that," or something. He says.
And Vega says,
An
"You can't see the
outburst.
tension between these two. They hate each other. There's,
And the outburst that Spock is talking about is just him sort of abruptly getting up and walking away from the table silent. But it's just
Yeah.
like a bit of an abrupt stand up. So it's
Right.
just like, whoa. settle down there.
Yeah, he gets up kind of without saying goodbye or like doing the Vulcan salute.
Nothing.
Or,
Vulcan salute.
Nothing.
No Vulcan salute for that guy. Again, why is he on the ship? Again, they're already at Earth, guys. They could be on the planet.
They're having a party later.
Yeah, I guess they're having
invited.
a trial party.
They're all there to get their pasta Mahmud.
Yeah,
We got a comment from Badvertise here. He says, regarding pleading the fifth, Picard goes off on Worf about how there's the seventh guarantee in the drumhead, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah.
And what was the seventh guarantee?
Not a clue.
Okay.
That would be helpful info here.
Yeah. I think it
By the
had
way,
to do
I'll
with
get on
incriminating yourself. I think it had to do with like that
No,
Simon
I think-
Tarsus guy.
Yeah, It
right?
was the Tarsus one, yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of a similar storyline where he lied about being part Romulan on his application, right? And he was prosecuted for that. And that's 200 or 100 years after this, right? So it's still been going on. Spock apologizes for the outburst, if you will.
I regret that you had to witness that outburst.
That's okay.
Okay, so the seventh guarantee is exactly what pleading the fifth is. It's
You
essentially
can't be forced to give.
you can't force to give something that can incriminate yourself. Yeah.
That's why he didn't want to say he had a Romulan grandfather, old Simon Tarsus.
This other scene here with Lon goes to Ensign Uhura and says, "Can you dig up all the personal logs regarding Una and everything else?" And she's basically Uhura says, "No, you're just gonna get yourself in trouble.
Another way, Jody. Find another way.
Find another way." She's not doing it.
Not doing it.
Is this like the few times
ask
they
me
call her
to.
by her first name?
She calls her Neoda on screen. You know, I don't know. I thought this was good.
No,
I thought
please,
I was like,
please.
at least somebody has some sense here for once, because normally when you go to somebody for this kind of stuff, they always do break the rules and get in trouble. She's like, "You're just gonna get yourself in
Uhura's awesome.
trouble." Yeah, Uhura was just like, "No."
I
And,
like her in this scene a lot. She's like,
Yeah.
yeah, but you're not bringing me down with you. Like, not a chance.
not a chance.
I'm
So she
still
just
an
wants-
ensign. Like,
Yeah, she's like, I can't follow your illegal order. Sorry.
mhm.
And I'm like, yeah. we
I
don't
wanted
need
her to
this.
break some rules.
Then we go back to San Francisco, Earth. We get the actual beginning of the court martial. I liked the set that they had. It was cool. They shot it in a lot of interesting ways throughout it. We already met the lead admiral judge, but we also meet that there's a Tellarite judge who's a part of the panel too.
It's cool. It
And
looks
The
good.
day. I was just reading here. The courtroom depicts members of the various 23rd century Federation members, including the founding members, and Andorian, Human, Tellarite, and Vulcan. As well
It's
as
the Andorian.
there's no Andorian.
Yeah,
I
no
see that.
Andorian.
I guess we missed it because apparently it's there.
I
He's
saw
on
some,
holiday.
there in the earlier scene where they were doing like the plea deal scene with Patel and whoever, there was the Andorian symbol there in like that one of the banners was Andorian. And then this other commander guy, this other Vulcan guy, is part of the panel too, but he's not an admiral. He's somewhere.
Okay, so I've got
He's
a
not?
question about this. Can
I
somebody?
thought he was
with-
an admiral.
with,
They said
you know,
commander.
prior knowledge. Can somebody explain to me the badges? Like, what's with the colorful
Sure.
badges?
Sure, I
Dave would love to.
would love
That's
to tell you.
I was hoping he would have the answers.
Okay, well, so the dress uniforms, guys, that were updated for this episode, they're very much like the original series uniforms, although they've made some embellishments. So basically, like the badge is kind of like when you see like a military uniform with all like the different campaign beads, like kind of like, so you can see like certain people, theirs are larger and are more ornate. Like the admirals have grander ones, like the ones with
epaulets.
look at those epaulets. The other change they've made is that they've made the Admiralty like this navy color instead of like traditionally they would have worn a division color, the way that they did it in the original series. But that's how they're being consistent with like the duty uniforms they put on like Robert April and some other guys this season and last season. So that's a change. I don't hate it, but that's different than original series. And
That's
so
gonna
like,
end up in your closet, is what you're saying.
it's okay. It's not bad, So, sorry.
So they're like the Starfleet equivalent of ribbons and badges. Then
Yes, that would be a way of putting it. Yeah.
Service medals, yeah.
It's how many Pokemon gyms they've defeated.
How many
Could be that too.
Exactly.
I think I see that grass one.
And I love
Just
especially
get
love
like Boy Scout
what they
badge.
did here with the collar. This like gold piping around it. It looks amazing. I know not everyone's into the uniforms, but these were pretty looking good.
I thought it looked cool.
Very cool.
Dress uniforms.
Good dress uniforms. Maybe my favorite dress uniform. Like that one that
Yeah.
Uhura wore last season. Like she shows up to Pike's quarters in. I thought that thing looked hideous. This is like really nice. So
Pieces of
Pieces of
flair.
flair.
That's amazing.
We don't want to talk about our flair here.
No, you don't want to talk about your flair. I agree.
Yeah. Huge lineup tonight. Yeah, we got a big lineup here, Jaemeel.
Well, where are you?
Yeah, you could even be larger. Yeah, so I don't know. Like this trial goes on, and the crew on the Enterprise is watching it on the screen as it's proceeding. Batel versus Nira, and these opening statements that are made about everything else. Then Robert April comes up.
Can you go back one for a second? All right, I'm done. Thanks.
The Robert April scene where he's testifying. Adam, what do you think of this one? Adam,
Can you hear me? They had to bring him up, and I like the line of questioning. I mean, at the end of it, would you back her up? If you knew that she was Illyrian, right? And he answered the question honestly. No, I wouldn't. I mean, there's no other
Against
answer
the
for
rule?
him to answer there. He has to go that direction.
well, maybe not. Like he might. I think he's being truthful, and like he's like, if I known she was ineligible to be on the panel, then we would have. Is someone else coming? Or did he down? Oh, Dav.
Davin trying to do something silly.
Okay.
You're lucky my phone died.
Or it would have been Uhura.
He
on the
was
phone?
so gonna set that phone up on Uhura. He was gonna put her in as a permanent frame and just torture Jody.
Yeah. Okay. So, guys, because most of this episode takes place in a courtroom, I'm trying to remember the specifics of each scene.
Well, I mean, for the most part, Nira sort of cross-examined Aubrey to the point where, like, you're not prosecuting him, right? Like, you're supposed to be defending your client, and she's like, I am, by giving
she brings
this
up, like-
logical questioning.
Well, she's like, you've broken the Prime Directive a bunch of times when it suited you, when you thought that you needed to. And I think Nira makes some excellent points. She's like, so you're willing to break the rule and this and this and this, but this rule about her being genetically modified, that is sacred. Nothing can break that, even though the Prime Directive is supposed to be your most sacred law, And I think she makes a really good point, Like,
Doesn't that break everything from now on? Like now, anytime you're ever tried by Starfleet, can't you say, but you guys break the Prime Directive all the time?
well, maybe, yeah.
Now become a defense for literally everything.
His testimony was stricken from the record, right?
Yeah, and by the end of the conversation, everything was stricken from the record. I'm like, she won. Like nothing he said
Yeah,
was
she got rid of that witness.
can be considered.
I think that the decision, like guys, like let's talk about this, because the decision to sponsor somebody to come into the academy is very different. Are you eligible? Yes or no? Okay, right? Now, what they were arguing is that in the field, there's decisions you have to make that you don't know, like away from the command, and sometimes it's just not black and white. This was a black and white rule. Not saying it's right, but a black and white rule. Yes or no?
Right. Well,
So I don't
what's
think
that,
she
Pike?
really won that argument.
And what if the law is wrong?
that's what Pike's asking.
Yes.
Anyway, so then April leaves because basically Nira tears the hell out of him, in a very convincing way, to the point where this Vulcan judge stands up. He's like, he's not on trial, But she's like, well, isn't he? Aren't you all? Because for Nira, she's not doing this for Una. She's doing this because it's publicity, because it's putting attention on the cause, because she's exposing the Federation for the hypocrites that they kind of are in a lot of ways, And so I think that that this is kind of shaking them all. And we see here, like while they're watching up on the Enterprise, they're like, that didn't seem like a good legal strategy. But it kind of is.
These guys are not
Chapel
a
is.
pseudo navy at all.
Yeah, they're not a pseudo navy at all.
Storm eyes.
Yeah, Chapel's like, ah.
Yeah, she's over this.
She doesn't want to watch Star Trek C-SPAN.
But Pike has just like an oh boy reaction to this whole thing. And then good old Bob April, he comes up here to see Pike, his old first officer, in the quarters. He's like, so getting her as the lawyer was your idea, he says to Pike. He's like, oh yeah, she's one of the best civil rights lawyers in the galaxy. Wait, how can you go wrong? And she's like,
and her opponent is the captain of a starship.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on.
Yeah. Well, he's like,
like the best versus the worst lawyer in the galaxy. Like, what is this even like? What are we doing here?
Not good. Yeah. And he's like, well, April's like, she could have asked me about how amazing of a Starfleet officer Una was, and but she didn't do any of that. Like, it could have been a little bit more of a positive than just basically treating me as a hostile witness. Is how she kind of treated it. Pike tries to make amends with whiskey, but April just doesn't even take the glass. He just walks out.
Oh.
Yeah, and Pike just pours it into his glass.
Wait, you didn't see
that's
him
awesome.
Packing down the entire bottle. He didn't care.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
whatever, more for me.
Yeah, Pike just shrugs and pours it.
Now I gotta get some more pasta, mama.
Yeah,
Making pasta, mama.
back on
whiskey in his.
Back in Una's cell, she confronts her attorney, who she's like she's not happy with how she treated Robert April on the stand. She's like, doesn't matter. I'm not here for you. I'm doing this for me. And she's kind of frank about that. But we need to win, right? And we need to start going a different way with this trial, right? And so she kind of leaves Una saying, like, I don't care if I have your approval, like in terms of treating people with kit gloves or making the Federation or Starfleet look good. My goal here is to win the case. So I thought that was a good thing to do.
That slot in the door is quite a security risk, though.
That little slot?
Yeah.
If you're a changeling, I guess.
Yeah.
You can hold a weapon through that. No problem.
You can, I guess, but you have to break the glass first.
Oh, is there glass there? Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Well, then maybe that's all right.
Yeah. Back in this courtroom.
One of those Esri Dax shoot through walls guns.
Yeah.
There you go.
Those are fancy.
Transport bullets. Yeah, that's what they were.
Then we get this this next set of testimonies where it's three officers. It's Lon, it's Spock, and it's Mbenga.
I like how they shot this, though.
Yeah, they keep like flipping between the three instead of giving us three.
But they're all
scenes.
framed the exact same way, which is really cool.
Right, because they're all speaking to how good of a Starfleet officer is, how she saved people, why she's worth keeping in Starfleet, and that this is all character establishing and
absolutely everybody is rocking epaulets.
Yeah, wait did you see the epaulets? Yeah, exactly. They're going.
Well, not Pike. No epaulets for Pike.
Well, he's in a duty uniform.
Yeah.
He's handsome enough. Damn it.
I love these dress uniforms.
True. Epaulets would have sent Jody over the edge.
Oh, I'd be like, ah!
I don't understand like the epaulets for like if they're supposed to be lieutenants, why are they wearing lieutenant commander epaulets? Anyway, that's one little point of confusion.
Better right.
In the Deep Space Nine episode, Dr. Bashir, I presume, which was all about augmenting people, they shot it the same way with Dr. Zimmerman interviewing people who knew Julian.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point. It's kind of a callback to that where like Worf's like, I do not like doctors. Any doctors. Not even holographic doctors. Yeah. This one point where like, because I think they asked all three of them, like, at any point did you feel like Commander Chin Riley was hiding something? And Spock goes, I do think she was hiding something. Her love of Gilbert and Sullivan musicals, which was kind of a call.
Call
callback
to
here.
Picard and Data.
A British star is a
soaring
soaring soul,
soul.
as free as a mountain bird.
Did you
His
see this
energetic
listing?
fist ever ready to resist. Anyway,
A British tar
Why
is
do-
a
why do I show
soaring
up to
soul,
these?
as free as a mountain bird.
There you go.
Sing
Why do I
words.
do these? I don't get it.
So did you guys watch
the
that?
people
show?
demand it, Jody. The people demand
They don't demand me.
it. They do.
Okay, guys, just a little sidebar here. There's more of these. Every time Spock was doing something, they got to show us Chapel now. Like anytime,
Yes.
I'm like, it's a
Yeah.
little annoying in
They're
the
paired,
edit.
Yeah.
I
I'm like,
like this whole Chapel Spock thing, but wait, can you go back because did you guys see the short treks with Una and Spock in the
yes.
turbo? I love that.
Yes.
You guys, it was a great little thing.
At the time, I didn't like it. Maybe if I go back and watch it now, I'll like it more. But
you will.
I don't think I've actually ever
Bring
seen them.
back short treks.
the short treks.
No kidding. Short
Spock,
treks
the Spock Chapel thing is hindered by the prequel disease, which is we know where it ends up.
Right.
So like it all just seems weird considering where it ends up.
Yes.
So
That's the thing. Chapel has no lines in this episode, by the way, too. She's literally like an extra.
really,
in
she
the
just
entire
looks
episode.
around.
Yeah, she just looks, but her looks are like significant. They say things.
I was hoping for more Carol Kane, and I didn't get any of it.
We get no Carol Kane in this
Yeah, me
episode,
too.
either, which was because she had just
She
joined.
doesn't
the
know
crew.
Una.
She's packing her bags still.
She doesn't know her.
Doesn't know her. She doesn't have a reason to be here yet. And so anyway, like this is what she says. Oh yeah, she loves Gilbert and Sullivan. Yeah, and then they're all like, "Oh, that's Spock. He was called back to the short treks." But then they I like this little thing. I did pull the clip here, just of these three kind of giving us the different.
Please don't sue Paramount.
Please describe the nature of your relationship with the defendant.
She is a mentor.
I have learned a great deal about leadership by serving under her.
She puts the lives of her crew above her own. Always.
She is a friend.
Family. Una is family.
Some good editing that scene.
Yeah, I liked it too. Good edits.
Benga's great.
Yeah, no, a strong scene.
Did we gloss over Mbenga with like assessing the Vulcans while they were talking about their
a little
body
bit?
language?
We kind of mentioned it, but yeah,
It's
he
like,
was.
I think you're busy setting up your phone.
No, that was way earlier than that, Jody. Thank you very much.
This image here, guys, is from Discovery season 2. Of these two, like when he's wearing the old Discovery uniform. But anyway, back here, we're back in number one's quarters, Nuna's quarters, with Nira, who La'an comes to see her and brings her that. She's like, "Can you bring me the Starfleet Code of Justice in a big book format, like a printed book that's all created?" Because she asked for that earlier in the earlier.
Well,
scene.
we saw them walking around with pads and stuff. So like, why do they need a book of this? Like,
They don't need
grab
it,
the
Jody.
pad.
This is a deliberate choice to make a book. It's drama.
Each pad can only contain so much information. You'd have to have a whole stack of them.
It's true. Yeah. It's true. You're just gonna walk in with like a.
Do you know how many books I can put on my e-reader? Come on.
Yeah, your e-reader, but in the Star Trek universe, they can only put on like a page.
They can't afford an upgrade.
No,
come on.
And you can't, you have to have someone deliver the pad to someone.
That's true. Yeah.
But beyond the book, guys, I think that like this whole scene here where there's this whole thing here about La'an's like she feels guilty because she found out about her being Illyrian, about Una being Illyrian last season, and then she got mad about it. She made a personal log about it, and so we thought that maybe it was La'an that had reported Una to Starfleet, but they're kind of trying to figure out who was the rat. It turns out it was Una. Spoilers, but herself, she testified because she kind of heard La'an giving the personal log. But more than that, Nira gives this whole speech here. She's like, you think with your heritage coming from the Noonian Sing line or whatever that you would have more empathy for this because you think that what did she say, like they've been looking down on us for so long that you start looking down on yourself
This was the whole scene that made me think this was all about being transgender because it really feels like internalized transphobia. And when she said genetics isn't destiny, all of that just feels very like they're trying to do something metaphorical about this. and I feel like it's trans to me.
Yeah, I think it could be a lot of different things, like trans. But I think like people who've hid sexual orientation or even certain whatever it is about you that you don't that other people might look down upon, that is part of who you are, and stuff you may or may not be able to change about yourself. I think that
if we get one more moody, broody on episode, I'm gonna start calling her Batman. I'm just saying.
Where's the trigger? So, yeah, but I thought that was some great writing in this scene. I thought it was really strong, and it's between these two, I really enjoyed this scene in particular. Really hit home, and then we come back to the trial, which continues, and this is where, So again, another nitpick. She's like, I would like to call Una Chin Riley, like number one, to the stand, and there's all this looks like no one was expecting. I'm like, you didn't tell her you were going to put her on the stand before you announced it.
She denied her that. Like, Una wanted to go on the stand, and she was just like, no, that's always a bad idea.
Right.
They're just going to get you to corroborate their facts, the facts they want. Like, what's the point? So
right. Yeah, going on the stand is usually...
if she didn't go on the stand, she definitely wouldn't have won.
Yeah, you're right. She had, and I think so. Eventually, I think it was between the last scene and this scene that Nira kind of derived her legal strategy of how she wanted to proceed here, right? So she asks a bunch of questions to her throughout this testimony that is going to come back later and come back up in why she deserves asylum and why ultimately they'll win this case by the end of the episode. There's this moment here where the Vulcan admiral like stops Patel, who seemingly is doing her job, right?
Well, he's mad because she's not doing her job. He even says it.
Not enough. She's not going as hard as she should, because she doesn't really have her heart in it. It seems like.
Well, why is she? She's a Starfleet captain. Why is she there?
Why isn't he prosecuting this?
Tell me, Dave. You have to tell me.
Why isn't he prosecuting it?
He did say,
I know.
He's like, my colleague wasn't having the gumption to basically ask the hard-hitting question of how long did Pike know that you were an Illyrian, which is like the smoking gun question.
Right.
Well, like, seriously though, Vulcan Admiral, if you wanted her to go after Pike, get your prosecuting lawyer, to not be Pike's girlfriend. Like, literally, oh my god, this episode.
Which actually kind of makes an interesting point, because if he ends up getting incriminated, then at that point she has a personal interest, which means that she actually would have to be relieved, because she's linked with a defendant.
Well, is that why she had to consent to her being the prosecutor, because of this relationship she had with Pike?
I guess, yeah.
Okay.
That'd be my guess, anyway.
It seems like they would have
people know. The court wouldn't know about the romantic relationship.
Why didn't they get that guy who was assigned to defend her originally to be the prosecutor instead?
Yeah, that guy.
Because he was terrible.
Yeah, he was
because
terrible.
they already called this captain to hang out. So what are they going to do with her then?
Right. We're paying her for the episode.
She's got to hang around.
They had to give Mrs. McMurray.
She volunteered just as an excuse to see Pike again.
That's where
that is
her
Mrs.
from.
McMurray. Oh my god!
Didn't
I'll
know
never
it
look
was
at her
her.
the same
Shit.
again.
Who's Mrs. McMurray?
From
Letterkenny.
She's on Letterkenny.
She does a lot of dry humping.
She does a ton of dry humping.
I tried to point this out one time, but Jen corrected me. She's actually Winona Earp.
Oh, so it's not the same person?
No, it is the same person.
Oh, okay, but she plays that as well.
She also plays Winona.
So she Canadian, this one?
Yes.
Probably, yeah.
Right on. Anyway, so I pulled the whole Vulcan speech here because he's like, this is not just fraud, it is conspiracy.
What we have here is not just one officer's violation of the law. This incident is evidence of breakdown of chain of command on board the Starship Enterprise, starting with its captain. If Captain Pike was aware of Una Chin Riley's fraud prior to her arrest and did not notify Starfleet, then what we have here is not fraud, but conspiracy.
This episode would have been awesome if he was like doing the trial from the beginning, right? You know,
I think he should have ripped off his shoulder badges and showed the SS markings that he had on there. That would have been amazing.
I was just thinking he'd be a really good Nazi soldier. Is that bad?
Maybe you guys all got butt bugs.
Maybe you got a Yeah.
Not
All
sure
that-
I want to understand that reference.
That's a Lower Decks reference. How do we know
Well,
you
it's a
guys?
conspiracy.
Yes. Yes.
That was
we
a
know you
conspiracy.
guys don't
That
know
was a
about
well-timed
us.
joke. You guys wasting my
Yeah,
time.
I got it, Devin.
Yeah.
I think I do have that somewhere, but anyway.
I only listen to like a third of what you say, Davin, so that's probably why.
The problem is Jody just doesn't watch Lower Decks, and he needs to.
I watched it all so far.
Oh, did you?
I've watched it all. Yeah.
Is this it?
I don't have the praise that you guys have for it, but
Butt bugs.
apparently.
Anyway, so there's a lot of tension here. Oh, now they're they're coming for our first officer of the Enterprise. Now they're coming for Pike. Is he going to be the next to get a court martial? Where does it end? You know,
He's like, I'm
This was an interesting
gonna come down there and pasta some mama.
Yeah, he might.
I bet you that's a sex position.
Then we finally get
So-
Neera. This is where Neera brings out the book, guys, and she's like, "You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get Batel to read the book." She's like, "Do you know this section, this particular code in the Starfleet book?" And she's like, "Yeah." Like, how about you read it for me? Sure. Story time, everybody. Let's read this right from the book. And so she reads it out, and then it's intercutting that this policy is that the Starfleet can give asylum to people who are persecuted based on religious or other reasons or beliefs or culture, and
General asylum reasons.
General asylum reasons.
I'm not sure that would apply though to the organization for which is doing it. That seems a little off. But
We're giving you asylum from Starfleet.
we're giving
in
you
Starfleet.
asylum from Starfleet in Starfleet. Okay,
Yeah,
that makes
No,
sense.
she was fleeing persecution from just regular Federation citizens. for
Right, but when she came to Pike, she wasn't. Was she?
No,
I think
no,
that-
no,
Yeah,
no.
it's a stretch.
Yeah.
It's a very
It's-
big
she-
stretch, but
when
it
she
worked.
came to Pike, it was more or less, it's like, well, this is me, this is who I am, this is an admission of guilt, you know. And he's like,
I'm looking for
we'll
asylum.
deal with that another day. You're my number one, you know. And then now we're dealing with it, so she has to
Hey,
deal with
hey,
some of
remember
this.
Chapel?
Look at that
She's on the
furtive
show.
gaze. Look at that furtive gaze from Chapel there. Yeah.
No lines in this episode, but she can give some
Remember
looks.
Chapel? She used to talk in this show.
She talked a lot last
She
episode.
had a whole episode last episode where she got to be a badass. She's
I know.
tired. Let her sit down.
Oh, I
Yeah.
see.
She got a mouthful of pasta mama.
Okay.
I gotta
There
keep
comes
on
a
track
point
here, guys.
where I can't say any more jokes because then we're getting into territory that's bad.
All right. So I took a lot of screenshots here. But
They
basically,
sure did.
Neera gives she gives her whole thing about like she tears all this Starfleet down. I love this whole scene. I love how she kind of shows that that Starfleet has a policy of accepting people based on all these other reasons, and that the hypocrisy of it. And I like that it's pointed out, and then they're all getting happy as she's making her strong. They haven't even won yet, but they're all kind of
Yeah,
getting
I
convinced.
noticed that she references something that Robert April said in her closing argument, but wasn't that stricken from the record?
Technically it was, but they all heard it, so they can all remember. But
Yeah.
you know,
Well, yeah.
so so yeah, she's like, how about you follow your own rule book? It's kind of how she sticks it to the Starfleet here, you know, and follow your own ideals that you claim to
Rule's
cherish.
so old, it was written in ink on paper. We don't have paper anymore.
This is such an old rule because the other, you know, she also references during Una's testimony, she talked about the old Starfleet motto that before the Federation. So I guess when Enterprise was happening, guys.
Ad Astra Per Aspera, to the stars through hardship. It was the Starfleet motto before the Federation.
Especially if you go into
stars.
the Expanse.
To the stars through hardship. I did a translation. It actually says to the stars difficulties.
Well, difficulties and hardships can be kind of the same.
Yeah.
All the same. I want an Ad Astra tattoo now.
To the stars.
I say
through-
do it.
Yeah. So and she's like,
Then
this was
underneath,
her
past
hardship.
mama.
She had to flee because they talked about growing up there on that that Illyrian colony that became part of the Federation and all these things. So by the end of it, it's all been sort of made up, and then they come up with a ruling that she's dismissed of all charges. She doesn't even get a reprimand, guys. But this doesn't mean that the Federation law is changing, and we kind of already know that because this law will very much be in place by the time Julian Bashir is in Starfleet 100 years later. But they're making an exception. Una is an exception to the rule, much like Julian Bashir will become later on as well. Sort of like we're not changing
now
the rule.
Illyrian's exception to the rule.
Yeah. I did like how the judge said, like, you do have to draw lines in the sand. You do have, but sometimes those lines have to bend from time to time, and you have to be able to make exceptions, and you can't just be sort of this black and white thing. Not all the time, So I thought that was a good speech. Like how this all kind of plays out, and she wins, and they're hand holding, guys. The hand holding, they're friends again. They're working together, and they're reconciling this rift between them that originated back on the Enterprise. We get the closing of the episode. Una beams in. Everyone's happy to see her, including the one who was prosecuting her, just to remind us that she's not a bad guy. She's still a good guy, everybody. But is she?
What's her name again?
Battelle.
Battelle, how you know?
Murray.
McMurray.
She's got the glass gin just below frame.
Yeah.
Surprised she's not in like a bikini top.
I gotta see her in that show now just to find out what you guys are referencing.
Oh my god, I can't believe you never watched Letterkenny, Dave. I will totally.
I've never watched
Letterkenny
it.
is
Even
not
better.
a Dave thing.
Letterkenny review show on UFP. It's gonna happen.
Oh, okay.
Did you watch Shorzy, Jody?
Yes, the whole thing.
Yeah,
it's twice already.
In Letterkenny.
It is actually better than Letterkenny. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
And here are the screenshots from the goodbye here between Nira and Una, where she thanks her and everything else, and the lingering hand holding as we referenced earlier.
I think it was awkward hand holding.
It's the implication. No, this gave me very much like end of Korra Nickelodeon vibe, like Korra and Asami are like holding hands, and like I believe they were gay. I choose.
Yeah, me too. I felt like that's exactly what they were trying to say to us here. And
McMurray's
cool.
definitely bisexual, so that makes sense.
Okay.
So maybe they're all going to jump in together.
Oh, you mean Patel, her other character from
Or
Letterkenny.
Patel, sorry.
Yeah. The dry humper.
The dry humper. Yeah. I hope she does some of that in
Gale.
the show. That'd be amazing.
All right.
Yeah, that's more like Gale. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I like here at the end, they all clap for Nira, and then she says, "I might hate all you Starfleet Federation types, but your crew is all right. You got an Illyrian serving as your first officer. It's a good step, So she's feeling better about. There's
The
kind of
clapping thing was just so awkward, though. It was like, oh.
I like how Spock didn't clap.
Well, no, because
No,
clapping is a
Spock's
waste
just
of
thinking
time.
about Chapel. Yeah. Spock's just like, hey, Chapel, come with me. I'll be so fucking good to you. There's a
But
Shorzy.
Spock's like,
so good to you.
Spock's like, why
So
do they
fucking
call it
good, dude.
pasta mama?
Yeah, he's still thinking about Pasta Mama. And that Vulcan who
comes back to Pasta Mama.
Right. Anyway, so she says goodbye and she beams out. See ya.
And then Una's like, get back to work, assholes. Basically.
Yeah. Well, she has this moment here with Lon first. Where she says,
and Law didn't say Gorn at all, which was good.
yeah, well, there's kind of an apology that she was mad, I guess, or whatever was left lingering from last season. And then she said, and then Una's like, why aren't you guys doing your jobs? I loved Ortega's here.
Thing practically flies itself.
Shit practically flies itself, guys. What
Sure, with no captain on it ever. If you're talking about
Yeah, she's like, if you're all here in the transporter room, who's writing things? I'm like, maybe it's Carol Kane. I don't know.
It's alarming the pilot is saying that, though.
Yeah, it's alarming that the pilot says that.
I think the pilot should be flying.
Well, this is a ship that has more than 18 people. Like, come on, somebody's got to be able to fly this thing other than these guys.
Well, true. Delta shift. Anyway, then the whole Pike
There's
and
only
Una.
3 shifts. That doesn't happen until later in Next Gen.
Yeah. Pike and Una have their first face-to-face that they've had since this whole thing started, because they've only had like phone conversations otherwise, and they have a hug, which turns into, which
Look
seems
at the
like
look on his face. It's like a little kid that was just about to lose his friend,
or his
He's
mom.
just like holding on to her for dear life.
Yeah. He's like,
And then
I have no idea how to run this ship without you. Can you please?
He's like, they asked me questions about how to move this thing and stuff. Oh my god, it was terrible.
Yeah, I had to do personnel reports. Whatever. Yeah, so he gives her a little.
And no one's handing me
It's
the
like
Parmesan while I'm making
It's like
pasta
the bad
mama.
what It's like the dad was left alone with the kids, and he's like, I don't know where the vacuum is.
All right, and then guys, we just linger here on Rebecca Romijn for the finale as she's back, back on her ship. The whole thing's behind her now, and she can move back into her career, and that's the last shot from the episode. So
yeah,
we've reminded ourselves of it all. Maybe we'll do a little trivia or anything else that we maybe have missed here. The relief in the courtroom depicts members of various 23rd century members, including the founding members, an Andorian, a human, a Tellurian, and a Vulcan. I never saw an Andorian, as well as the other species, a Nocturian, a Betelgeusian, a Rhodonite, a Saurian, and a Zaranite, or Acacian.
Acacian?
Saurians make good brandy, though.
No, I don't think this was the courtroom, guys. I think the memory alpha is wrong
more
here.
like 10 forward.
It was the earlier scene where they had all those banners around during the plea deal, and then I think those were the different symbols we saw there.
It's just the relief of the sculpture on the walls. The gold sculpture in the background of the courtroom.
Oh, the gold sculptures. Oh,
okay.
Yeah. I didn't pay as much attention to those. And the other bit of trivia here, guys, is that 4 months have passed since the episode "Ghosts of Illyria." So it's which was like the 3rd or 4th episode last season. Ghost of Illyria was the 3rd episode last season. So it's only been 4 months since this last season. So it's been moving fast. And I think that's it. Anything else, guys, that I missed? Otherwise, we can probably go into our ratings.
Can I gloss over what Una says about Starfleet, though, about that motto, where she saw it wasn't just about the hardship, but about the stars being like salvation potentially for everybody. That was kind of nice.
That was. I agree.
That was the moment in this show for me where I like was sitting, rating wise at a pretty soft 8 for the whole episode, but by that final Una cross-examination and Nira, sort of, I guess you could say, dropping the legal hammer and reminding everyone exactly what Starfleet's about, that easily just like bumped it up. I was like, even though this was a slower episode compared to the season opener, and it makes complete sense as to why they did it in this order, it was very much a 10 out of 10 episode for me. And I enjoyed it a lot, because they didn't need to do any crazy flash in the pan action. It was all Law and Order, legal drama, and everything.
And I love Law and Order, really so this was right up my. I love the episode Court Martial. I love the episode Measure of a Man. I like these trials, these Starfleet trials. Even though there's not a lot of action, but they're really fun thought exercises.
Trial on Lower Decks.
There was a trial on Lower Decks too. Yeah. There's been any kind of court or any kind of these intellectual battles I find interesting.
Hey, Dave. So can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So one of the things La'an states in her testimony that she's been promoted every year she's been in service of Starfleet, and she only holds the rank of lieutenant. I thought she would be there a lot longer. So she's only been in because the ensign, lieutenant, junior grade, and then a full lieutenant. So she's only been there 2 years.
This goes back to my comment about the epaulets, because she wears the epaulets of a lieutenant commander, but they keep referring to her as lieutenant. And so does Spock. He also wears a lieutenant commander epaulet. So it's I don't know. Maybe they're just shorting it to lieutenant. Normally, it would be the other way around. You would call them a commander. But commander. Anyway, yeah.
Commander.
Question here from Sam, who's watching us live on Facebook, or I guess on YouTube, actually. When do they start using star dates? Because Enterprise did not have star dates. You're right. They use actual Christian years, if you will.
23.
23. No, but this is before that. You mean
no? But Stardates only started in the television series in Next Gen, and it started in 23.
They had star dates in the original series.
Yep.
But they never meant anything.
They didn't mean anything.
Yeah, they were just to remind us that they were in the future. That's what they would say Stardate. And Stardates still don't really make a lot of sense. Just for
in Next Gen, it was a way of differentiating what season they were on.
That is also
totally
like
makes
the star dates are based off of what location they were in space too. So some of the star like I was doing because I've been watching TNG and I would like cross check star dates to get a reference of time frame of like what month or year they are in. There'd be some episodes where it's like a few episodes back and they're like in August, and like 2 or 3 episodes prior they would have been in November of the same year. So it kind of jumps around. So it's not like exactly a clear mathematical equation to figure out what a star date is in the future. So you have to go off a guess.
I just like going by normal years whenever possible.
I think this is a subject for Davan. I think Davan
it is. We talked about this. We have already on locutors of Trek.
There you go. I would have assumed you guys did at this point.
All right, guys, ratings. Let's get into it. I'll go first. I like this a lot. 9.5. Jen, do you want to vote for Kevin tonight? You can get your rating.
I would say like 9.5. It hit all of the good emotional points, but why was Battelle there?
Yeah, I'm with you. Half a point deduction.
It does not make sense.
Right. Okay, Jody.
So as always, I'm going to be the person who's actually in reality.
Okay, bring us to reality.
So, yes, I originally started this as a 10. Okay, but there are a lot of glaring issues with this episode that we've already discussed, obviously, such as why she's even prosecuting her and stuff like that. So I'm going to bring it down to a 9 because I think there was some laziness in this episode that I was too pumped for it the first time I watched it. So it was, I'm bringing it down to a 9 now.
Yep. Okay, Davan.
Well, you see about star dates. You see, the first number is the century. The second number is like the season.
Yes.
The year.
Yes.
And then then there's
What
like
is your
the
fucking rating?
I'm gonna deduct it more than half a point for her being in this episode. I can never remember her name.
Battelle.
She shouldn't have been in the episode. Battelle.
McMurray.
McMurray, how you now? How is it now? I'm gonna
You
give
should
this
take a
one
half a point for her not dry humping anybody either.
Yeah, really.
Oh,
I don't know. I liked it.
Murphy, what's your rating?
I got some problems with this one. I'm gonna go 8.
8. Okay.
No, 9. 9's fine.
9. He's going to 9. Okay, Murphy.
Like I said, I was sitting at a soft 8 for the most part of the episode, then later, and it made me bump up to 10. But in hindsight, with everyone's pointing out why McMurray missed, is the hole there. So I'm bringing it down to I'll give it a 9. I'll give it a 9.
Still pretty solid, yeah. And Adam.
Yeah.
You guys are like stuck on that one thing.
It's enough.
She's in half the episode, and she
She's in
shouldn't
a
have been
lot.
in any of it.
Yeah.
She probably has the second most speaking lines in this episode. It's very important.
So it's like
It makes no sense.
It doesn't make sense. Like
I still think it's better than Measure of a Man, though.
No, it's not.
It is.
Measure Man
I
didn't
think
have holes.
listen.
like that.
Okay, so I'm not going to take a half an hour like Davin did, but I'm just going to tell you.
I get no respect.
For me, the
I'm
idealism.
Rodney Dangerfield of the UFP.
Oh, come on. Hey, listen, the idealism of Starfleet really was shown in this episode. I loved it. I loved it. So 9.5, please.
9.5. Okay. So we're averaging in
All that,
9.3.
you gave it a half a point more than the rest of us?
You gave it the exact same I did. Even though
Tell you about ratings. You want to hear about ratings?
Yeah,
I get no respect. with
Why
my
are you
ratings.
guys all stuck on that? And by the
This
way,
cur-
9.5.
This currently has an 8.7 on IMDb. With how many votes so far today? 380. So still needs more to come. Valerie Weiss directed and Dana Horgan wrote it. And
You're gone.
We got all our details in there. Okay, guys. So that is great. I think we all liked this episode by the sounds of it. We had our little issues, but nothing too big. The next episode, guys, is called Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow.
Sounds like timey-wimey stuff.
Sounds like a timey-wimey episode, a time travel
I
episode.
think we need a counter for how many times she says Gorn.
We need the Gorn. Like, let's bring in Gorn on now.
I think they're saving us for the Gorn. You know.
Yeah, I
later
bet you were gonna get Gorn something in
the last.
What,
Okay.
what if she says Gorn, but then they go back to tomorrow and she says Gorn again, and then they go back and she says Gorn again.
Oh,
and it's
maybe
just
it'll be
this
like a
loop of
time
her
loop
saying
thing.
Gorn.
It would just be
Yeah.
all Gorns all the time.
Instead of Groundhog Day, it's Groundhog Day.
Groundhog Day.
Groundhog Day.
I like that.
Yeah.
Where are the Gorns?
Good.
She's so stuck up on that Gorn thing, eh?
It's the Gorn, Dave.
They ate her family in front of her.
Now, Davan,
Drama, Jody.
Davan, the last episode is called Hegemony of this season. Do you know what that's a reference to?
The Gorn hegemony. So
The
it's
Gorn
going to be a
hegemony.
Gorn episode.
Yeah, that's the name of their state, the Gorn Hegemony. So
Maybe they're killing her off in that episode.
So they're gonna be going. It seems like the Gorn War that they teased last episode is maybe coming towards the end of this season, but we'll see how that plays out.
She's going to say Gorn so many times in that episode.
Yeah.
Get your
It's gonna be
drinking
great.
ready.
yeah, buy something
Okay,
nice.
so for that episode, I think we should actually make it a drinking game.
We should.
All right.
We should. What was it was one more thing I wanted to ask about this. Oh, Jen, I wanted to ask you. Are you excited about the crossover that's coming up with Star Trek Lower Decks?
Jody, get over
Yes, that was like the reason I watched Lower Decks is because everyone was so excited about this, and I cannot wait to see how they do this.
It's
Must be
gonna
the
be
time travel.
garbage. Mark my words.
It'll be amazing.
Sometimes garbage is fun.
Sometimes garbage is fun. I like that. You know, so,
That's true.
hot garbage, a hot mess. Maybe we may get. When is it? So Sam is like, when is it coming? And my guess is it's going to be episode 7, which is titled.
I was thinking episode 8.
No, it's got to be episode 7 because the episode is called "Those Old Scientists" or TOS, and it's directed by Jonathan Frakes as well. So I think they gave Frakes.
Okay,
the
that's
crossover.
definitely
Outpost scientist.
Frakes is the director. Yeah, Frakes is the
That's what-
director on that one.
Yeah, that's what I like to call them, like those old scientists. I'm pretty sure I have a Boimler quote somewhere for that.
They need to stay on their own fucking show. That's what they need to do.
Those old
Wait, I got a
scientists.
great Boimler quote to end this episode with.
You do?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. All right, guys. Well, any final thoughts before we sign off? If not, let's.
It's the Gorn.
It's the Gorn. Okay. Well,
Dun.
I'm just trying to think. I think I want to go out on this Una one. We'll see you next time, everybody. Live long and podcast, and make sure to check out our
plug in your own shows.
Oh, I should plug the other shows, guys.
Yeah,
if you
we
don't
got a
know,
Federation of Podcasts.
You're right.
I didn't show up here because I just wanted to hang out with you guys.
This is about the marketing.
I'm here to plug my show with Adam.
Yeah. Okay.
Without Starfleet, none of you would exist! We don't want to protect you from the Klingons and the Borg. We just want to explore and study fucking quasars!
That's a good quote.
And comments.
And comments. Yeah. Okay. So it's Live Long and Podcast, our Star Trek theme channel, which is this one you're watching right now. All kinds of different Star Trek podcasts, including an ongoing one with Star Trek Enterprise, where we're going through episode by episode. Jody and Adam.
It's been a long road.
It's been a long road getting from there to here. We are almost done season 3. We got 2 episodes left in season 3, and then we got season 4 to come after that. But check all that out. We've been talking about all those episodes and breaking them down. Similarly, we've been doing it on Deep Space Nine for the last few years. We've done 6 seasons so far. 7th season is set to start up later this year, and then we'll be doing, of course, this one here on Strange New Worlds, but Lower Decks when it comes back, and Discovery and Picard. No, there won't be any more new Picard. But
yes, there will.
We'll see. Yeah, if there's enough money to be made, they'll make it. And whatever else is coming out, and all the new Star Trek shows. We talk about Star Trek video games. We talk about Star Trek, like our science division does Class L probes. Talk about different subjects. I think Davan and Adam and Dave were just recently doing a whole bunch of topics, including the Vidians and holodecks and different
Davan
subjects.
probes up people all the time.
Yeah, Adam and I were probing all weekend.
Great. Great.
It's a simple
smiles over there.
Yeah. And locutors attract. Don't forget with the locutors attract Dave and Davan, which also, they do their long format audio podcasts and do different subject matters. You can check out all of those great playlists within.
The season finale of the Locutors of Trek is coming. my audio is messed up, so I have to fix it like minute by minute, and it's painstaking. But
you have
on the topic of Star Trek games.
Well, yeah.
On the topic of Star Trek games, we've got our co-host Jaemeel Robinson over on his Twitch channel, The Puffy Taco, playing Star Trek Resurgence. He's doing that tonight at 10 p.m., so in about half an hour if you want to go check
I was
it
trying
out.
to suggest to Jaemeel, he can also broadcast to Live Long and Podcast as well as the Puffy Taco, the simulcast. But we'll see. And then, guys, we are part of United Federation of Podcasts. The Live Long and Podcast is all kinds of different shows.
glory shall be his own.
Yes, you can check it. You can check it out. Our different channels. We have a website, ufpodcasts.com, where my son Eamon Mater, you'll see he does a music podcast where he reviews music albums with different guests. A lot of the people you see here tonight. There's the Hold Up podcast with Murphy and Davan every second Wednesday, where they go through 3 movies at a different theme, 2 from the 20th century, 1 from the 21st century, and they try to figure out, do these movies hold up? What do you guys coming up next? Something with
Kevin's on next. We're gonna spend the next 2 weeks watching Kevin's pick.
yeah,
it's a long movie.
We're sailing the high seas. We're doing
Hopefully the longest movie.
Yeah,
so
it's
far
gonna
on
be
our
the longest.
podcast.
How long is this movie?
Das Boot. It's like 3.5 hours long.
3.5. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus.
A
It's a long
brief
movie.
3.5
It's
hours.
good.
Are they all Wolfgang Peterson movies? Because he does everything in water.
No,
I don't know.
I wish we kind of did.
I picked Captain Ron. That's definitely not Wolfgang Peterson.
That's a good pick. That's a good pick.
Oh my god!
I picked.
You're really going from one side to the other side, aren't you? With that,
You like to have a diverse range of films in each episode.
Captain Rod and Das Boot. All right.
What's the third
and then
one?
And then we end it with Heart of the Sea, which is like a
Moby
Netflix
Dick.
tale of Moby Dick. Yeah.
Oh, that's with Hemsworth, right?
Yeah, Hemsworth, and it's got
Or in
Tom Holland
Spider-Man.
in it too.
I was disappointed in that movie. Anyway, we're not here to talk.
Oh no! Now I don't.
Are
wanna
you
watch
on that show, Adam?
I am sometime. It just
yes, at some point.
Yours is the one after Kevin's. Yours coming.
I think I have
You
another
got like
one
3
booked with
weeks
you
to
guys,
watch
but I
those
don't know
3
when
movies.
I'm on next.
You do.
Next season.
Davin, what do you got going on X-Rated, which you do with Andre Mayette on Tuesday? Talk about X-Men, the animated series.
Well, yeah, we all just had we had a interview with Lawrence Bain recently, and we had Cameo Fest 1996 there on Tuesday. That was fun. Murphy made a cameo.
I would have,
but we were playing hockey.
If you had done it the previous Tuesday, I could have made it, but you moved it. So
X-Man Dan made a cameo. It was still fine.
I saw X-Men Dan's cameo.
We're wrapping up season 4, which is what was supposed to end the series. So season 5 will be interesting. And we've got more interviews coming down the pipe. Lots of big things over there at X-Rated.
Very good. We also have Trivial Debates. I think we're putting together a Pride-themed episode in the near future. I don't have any kind of banner to show you, but
no banner yet. But yeah, we're working on the guests, which we're hoping General Rossman will be able to join us.
Japanese mixed martial arts.
Well, Jim, we hope you can join us for that. Trivial Debates is.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, and last couple shows we have our Super Mater Brothers podcast where we talk about different shows like Survivor, Big Brother. We'll be coming back for Big Brother USA in the near future. We just talked about Marvel. We talk about Marvel stuff on that channel too, including most recently we talked about the Spider-Verse, the Cross the Spider-Verse movie. Yeah, that was fun. So all kinds of great stuff in our network of shows.
Trivial Debates.
I talked about Trivial Debates. I mentioned Trivial
did
Debates.
you?
Yeah.
I didn't.
And the Hellbound podcast with Michael Chen and Alex Blackburn on Wednesday.
Maybe I should pay attention.
That'll help.
Your whole
why
one-third
start
theory is not
now?
working out for you, Jody.
What's that?
Your whole listening to 1/3 of everything's not working out.
That's all I got to say about that.
All right, and guys, on that note, let's go out. I think we'll go out with this.
Better not be a Gorn.
No, it's not the Gore, but it's going to be La'an. Let's go out with her. Live long and podcast, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Please describe the nature of your relationship with the defendant.
She is a mentor.
I have learned a great deal about leadership by serving under her.
She puts the lives of her crew above her own. Always.
She is a friend.
Family. Una is family.
Live long and podcast.